Hi there, welcome back to the series of Master Python with practice questions where we learn by doing. So in this session we are going to embark on question 6 and therefore let's get started. So the question says, write a Python function to sum all the numbers in a list, and we are given a hint, apply a loop, then the sample list is 82307 and then the expected output is 20. So for this question they are tricking us by providing us with a tuple, because we can see the parentheses, and then they are telling us that this is a sample list. So take note of that. So the first thing we are going to do is defining the function, and the function name is going to be sum of list items. So for the function name, you can pretty see that I am using the camel case naming convention. So the first thing we have to do is creating a variable that is going to store these items that have been provided, or these numbers that have been provided. So the variable name is going to be numbers, and since it is a list, we have to work with the angle brackets, and then we are going to pass in the items for the list. We have 8, 2, 3, 0, and 7. So since we are required to find the sum of the items, that means that we have to store a variable that is going to store the initial sum of the items. So we are going to define a variable sum, and initially the value for this variable is going to be 0. So for us to be able now to find the sum of the total items in our list, we have to work with a loop. And the way we work with loops in terms of a list, we say for, then we go ahead and define any variable that we can work with to loop through the items, as long as it is not the same as the name for the list. So you can just say for number, in numbers, we want to go ahead and access the sum variable and work with the assignment operator, plus equals, then we pass in the number variable, this. So the assignment operator, the way we work with it is the same as saying sum equals to the initial sum value, then plus the number that we are passing in for the loop. So having updated the sum variable, we now have to go ahead and print the output. So the output for this case can be the sum of the items in the list is this. Then we substitute it with the sum value by, of course, first ensuring that we are concatenating it and also casting it to a string. So sum, and having defined it, we now have to go ahead and call the function. So calling the function, and the way we call the function, we access the function name, which is sum of list items. Then we enclose it with the parentheses, and for now we are not having any parameters that are being passed within our function. So I'm going to go ahead and run the application or the program. So the sum of items in the list is 20, which is true because they're telling us that the expected output must be 20. So cases whereby you actually forgot and added the print statement within the same indentation as the expression for the sum here, then that means that it's going to be printing this statement for all items in the list. Actually, let's test it and see. So we can pretty see that it's printing, it's returning the print statement for all the items. So we can see that for the first item, that was 8, it returns the sum of items in the list is 8. Then when it increments to the second item, then it adds 8 plus 2. Then we get 10. Then later on it increments to the third item. Then we get 10 plus 3, which is 13. And then to the fourth item, it increments 13 plus 0, which is 13. And then to the last item, it increments 13 plus 7, which is 20. So that is how the for loop works for this case in terms of the list. So I'm going to update our indentation and rerun the application. So the sum of the items in the list is 20. So this is all for this session. Thanks for watching and see you again in the next session.